Hey guys, it's Weekender time. Right, we do have a prize. I will tell you about that in a minute. But first, I just have a quick announcement to make that you might be able to help me spread the word on. This is the store part of the visitor center. Woohoo! Store part of the visitor center. It's been closed since March, and we're now working to try and get it reopened. It's been difficult, this whole COVID thing, I've got to say. So I've been talking to other kind of stores and things like that to try and see, how do we go about this? How do we keep people safe? How do we stay within the legislation and stuff that's coming out? And just what can we do? And I happened to be talking with Richard from Warcradle and Whaling Games, and they were very, very helpful. And we were talking about some of the bits and pieces that we could put on the floors and everything else. Anyway, to cut a long story short, ourselves and Warcradle teamed up to create a little support box, okay? Woohoo! That support box we're giving away for free to any store in the world that could utilize it and make use of it. So I just wanted to show you very quickly what's in it. And then if your local store could benefit from the bits that's in it, all they have to do is reach out to us. In the show notes, there'll be an email address or a telephone number in there that they can use to reach out. And in it, we have heavy-duty floor decals. So a lot of places are having to do one-way systems. How we're going to do a one-way system in this little place, I'm not sure. But the idea is we've got some heavy-duty walkable decals in there. So if you need to do a one-way system, you can do it. And we also have some queuing ones. So if people are going to queue up at the till, we can kind of measure out that 2 meters of distance or whatever it is the legislation is going to state in your environment, wherever you may be. So there's some of that in there. And whenever COVID hit, we were 3D printing like mad little bits and pieces to help the health workers. Wayland and Warcradle, heck, they went to town and they actually designed this awesome kind of face shield, okay? They sent us some, and I said, guys, these are just awesome. So it's a face shield with an integrated bit that you can use to hold your face mask and stuff on as well. So we've got them to chuck 3 of these into the pack as well for you and your staff to use. Right, you're putting it together, Mr. Justin? Yes. Anyway, if you could reach out to your local store, if you think it's of help to them, it's completely free. It's just a way of us being able to reach out with just a little bit of help if we can. And if your store is, if they have any ideas or if they'd like to just talk about how we go about the process of reopening, because it's really, really important that we start to get the independent stores and venues to reopen safely, obviously. But we need these locations. As an industry, we need these locations. And we need to have safe environments for you guys and us to be able to go and game. So, as well as the pack, both myself and the team over at Warcradle, we're very happy to have conversations with you guys and share ideas and just share stories and experiences on how we're going to start to get out the other end of this whole thing. And if things start to get worse again, we can team up and lean on one another to try and help us get through that. Justin, stick that face mask on till I see you, dude. Look at this. Look at the concentration on that pretty little face. Oh, dude! Do you know what, dude? You make that look good. That now looks like some kind of fashion wear whenever you wear it. You look like a Terminator. Okay, give me an elbow bump, Justin. Doom. Right, guys, thank you so much for helping us, if you can, to reach out to let folk know that that's available for them. Time to talk some prizes and some gaming, because the weekend starts now. Hi guys, and welcome to the show! Right, I told you we had a prize, and I was serious. I wasn't shitting you. We do have a prize. This week, you're going to win the wonderful Team Yankee 2-player starter set. It is basically a box of beautiful modern tanks. So there's Abrams in there. There's the what was the Soviet ones, Jerry?
I think they're T90s.
T90s.
I can bring it up on the site.
You can bring it up.
There's even a breakdown of what's in there on there. So.
Oh, happy days.
There's even the worst of all possible things, the Bradley.
Yeah. So there's
T80.
T80s in there, T64s in there. There's some BMPs in there. The Bradleys are in there. The Bradleys, do you know what, Jerry? I'm really coming round to the Bradleys. The more I learn about it, yes, it was a bit of a whole thing, the design process of the Bradleys. But that versatile trip carrier kind of thing, there could be something in that.
This guy
Brits,
by
the way, have just announced the Ares. So if you haven't seen it, go and check out the Ares, the new British transport tracked vehicle. It's really kind of
Is it stealth?
Well, it's absolutely covered in sensors, and there's 6 of them delivered so far, and they're all kind of networked to one another for battlefield awareness and the likes. I'm telling you,
like trees.
I'm telling you, the whole technology levels on the battlefield are really starting to ramp up, and it'll only be a couple of years before our soldiers are using stuff more advanced than 40K.
That'll be weird when 40K becomes fantasy.
Anyway, in the week that the British Army announced they were getting rid of tanks, we decided to give away a box set with nothing but tanks. So, yeah, if you want to be in with a chance of winning that, all you have to do is be a subscriber. Click thumbs up. Give us a share if you can, and post a comment below. Okay? I'm going to do something freaky this week. Something just a little bit different. If you post a comment over here on OnTableTop.com, create a free account to do it. It's absolutely free, and you'll love the community over here. They're waiting for you. They're here, and we're all ready to embrace you in a big, cuddly wars and hug. Anyway, if you come over to OnTabletop, what we're going to do is any comment that you put onto this post on OnTabletop is worth 2 entries.
2?
Okay, so whenever you guys go to pick this, you run, you give OnTabletop twice as much chance as the other. How you do that? I leave it to brighter folk than me to work that out.
There you go. I was going to say you're going to get beaten by math. And then I thought he's going to get away with it, and then he was beaten by math.
I enjoyed counting up how many different ways people could spell crocodile last week.
Yeah, do we have an update on the crocodilian and what you're going to do? On the painting thing.
The choice for the paint job was either Nile crocodile or something golden using color flips.
A bit like your T-shirt today.
It's awesome, and you know it. A Nile crocodile won.
Did it really?
5 whole votes. Well,
by 5?
5 votes whenever I stopped counting, going, I need to start work on it or it's not going to get painted. So I had my cut off, and then I counted everybody that had gone in there. And
so you've counted it back from the cutoff point.
Yeah.
And it won by 5 votes.
I have a theory about this, you see, though, Jay. Right?
Yes.
Because the options was totally fantastical or something grounded in reality.
Yes.
Because people have been sitting in their houses for so long, I think they're just like, just give me reality. Just give me something.
Could have been that.
Well, we will pass that over to you then, Jerry. So we will wait and see how you get on with that, and we'll continue.
I'm looking forward to working out how I'm going to do that as well.
Yeah. And again, that Coruscant dragon is beautiful. We'll have a link in the show notes if you want to go and check that out. And we'll get Jerry's project finally public because there's a link to it and everybody's going to it, but the project's private.
Oh, is there a link to it?
Yeah, there's a link to it, but it's going through and it's pulling up a 404. So we need to make sure that's right. Okay, one last announcement. I'm excited about this one. I've been working on this for quite some time. So, COVID busted all of our events. Okay, it made it very difficult for us to do anything like boot camps or whatever else. So, I set to work with the guys from Para Bellum on coming up with an online, a virtual event of a virtual slow grow league for Conquest. Okay, and in a little while we are going to be launching that, and basically it's a series of milestones where as a community we're going to achieve these milestones of putting together and painting a Conquest army, and we're going to unlock achievements together. So you're going to unlock achievements and badges and things on the OnTableTop site. You create a project, you include that project in the Slow Grow League, and we'll all work on it together. As well as that, 4 of us are participating with you. So myself, Jerry, Justin, and John are getting knee deep
up to your oxters.
Up to our oxters in Conquest. Now, this I'm excited about because I have only just got back into painting and stuff, and I've been kind of just zooming in totally on the 15 mil because I find it very forgiving. So this is my opportunity to put my contrast paints, and my whole approach to painting these days is get it done, get it satisfactory, get a cool army, enjoy looking at it. I'm not going to stress about it. It's going to be a totally chilled process for me. So we're going to document our journey with you guys. And we're also going to do some live streams with you guys where we can work on our hobby together as we build up to a 2,000 point Conquest.
Who's taking command of which of the 4? The 4 original factions, because there's going to be more coming soon, obviously. But
yeah, there'll be more factions coming soon, right? But we have each taken one of the 4. But you know what? I'm not telling you that yet.
Oh, what? Oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm going to hold that little bit off, that little bit. But yeah, seriously, it should be a lot of fun. It's something that we can get together with, and it's a format that we're looking to experiment with because it's a format that we want to continue to expand upon, and perhaps look at other games. So it's a way for us and you guys to collectively immerse ourselves in a game. And the beauty of it is, doing it this way, we're able to bring the game developers on board. So we're hoping to reach out and have the game developers kind of talk us through some of the meta, talk us through some of the choices of the army lists. Obviously, anybody can go whatever direction they want on it, but we're going to publish what we're doing. And if people want to follow along with what we're doing, either closely or loosely, they can do that. And it just means that, it's a slow grow league where we can have fun and have expertise on tap so that we can
avoid being alpha striked.
Yes, so avoid being alpha striked and to have some confidence in the decisions that we're making. But we're going to have a bunch of live kind of Q&As with the developers and things like that as we go through the whole process. So Conquest, beautiful looking game, really beautiful looking game. And I have been assured by a community member, Hazy Boy, that I am going to love this. He says they're easy to paint. He says that the bigger minis, he says these ones are actually just really easy to paint. So I'm looking forward to that because, we will soon find out. But I'll
He's
be
been getting stuck into his
pet.
100 Kingdoms.
If you're not going to tell us who's doing what, we could at least show people the factions that you are going to be working on.
Okay. Yep.
Like, here's.
Okay. So 100 Kingdoms. So that's my faction. Oops. If you go to the forces, Lloyd, just click on forces. There you go.
Oh,
Yep, that's them. And these are the minis for the 100 Kingdoms. Oh, they're brutal. Where do you get down to the cavalry?
Opened too many windows.
On internet, catch up.
We hadn't noticed.
Yeah, check that out, Lloyd.
Those are very cool.
That is halberd beautifulness, all in one.
Jeez,
beautiful thing. The other thing about it is
that up me. Look at that.
The other thing is, and I want to draw your attention to this, right? All of the stuff from Conquest is both round based and square based.
The best of both worlds.
Yeah. And that's quite deliberate. We'll be using them square based, but keep them on their round bases.
Ooh. Okay.
You little tease you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, keep going. Yeah, this priest. Where do you check this guy out?
One of the newer miniatures as well, that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then if you go up to the Steel Legion, it's the cavalry guys that I want you to.
It hasn't
I haven't opened them yet.
Have you not opened them yet?
No. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. So there's
household knights. And
stuff.
And
the household knights.
It's going to be on one of these tabs. Open so many again. Let's start with this.
So this is the mage. So this is the magic that's in my army, and this guy here brings discipline.
Oh, he looks serious.
Oh,
he
yes.
takes no crap, that boy.
Yeah.
That's a
this is the guy you bring in when you want shit to happen. Okay, but check this out. Look at that. That's what those models there. What made me fall in love with Conquest when we saw them at UK Games Expo last year, when they had that all laid out in the gaming tables and stuff. I was like, oh, this is just magnificent. Oh, I cannot wait to rattle these guys out. Okay. Do you want to have a look at another faction?
Yeah, but don't tell us who's doing it.
Okay.
Go surprise us.
Okay. Right. So, what faction are we looking at next?
Let's take the Dweghom.
Dweghom.
Oh, Dweghom.
Because the 100 Kingdoms and the Spies were the original release factions, and then they brought out the Dweghom, and then the Nords are the newest ones. So
the Dweghom are kind of dwarfish. But they actually are a race that actually killed the dwarves.
Dwarves that killed the dwarves, yeah.
So the dwarves killed the dwarves.
These guys are some of my favorite miniatures. I love the Dragon Slayers. Yeah.
Check that guy out. Look at me.
Fire in an NBA Jam style.
And he's got muscle on his muscles.
Yeah.
So I think magical then.
The next guy's my favorite character, I think. The Holdrake. Yeah, he's so cool. Oh, look at that.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Check out the Inferno Automata. There is some fantastical stuff going on in here. Mm-hmm. I love looking through it just for the basing ideas.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a faction within their army that quite literally sets themselves on fire. And the Berserkers,
yeah.
Oh, here they come.
There they are.
This is who you're talking about.
So they quite literally burn with infernal fire kind of thing and go mad basically, and then just burn themselves out. It's
except fired a pig
and setting it free.
Yep, let it run loose.
So that's the Dweghom. Okay. Next up, let's have a look at the Spires.
The clones.
Yes, the Spires is kind of, they are like a cloned kind of a race. These are the monsters of the whole thing.
Drones.
a lot of creatures and characters that are designed towards very specific tasks. That's that kind of like thing that they do, which is very cool.
And they're cloned from all sorts of things. You know, they are an exceptional looking faction. Very, very, very strange and creepy.
They're very much the kind of faction that I think if you like anime and manga, they're a kind of faction that you could gravitate towards, because I think their style kind of has that slightly larger than life sort of proportion to it.
And there's an Eastern feel to a lot of it as well.
Yeah.
Certainly is when you hit things like the Lineage Highborn, which I don't think is in there yet because it's only just been released. But she looks like a geisha, except it's one of the massive constructs like the Avatars, so they're just huge. It's just very peculiar.
Excuse me.
You're excused.
Very cool.
Who did I miss?
Unusual group of people.
Abomination there at the bottom. It's one of the big beasties.
And they're one of the kind of monsters that shows you the scale of exactly what this, because the games are not 28 mil like a lot of people think. It's slightly bigger than that. It's like 35-ish, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. So what happened was, whenever they were conducting the first tests of the game, they got the prototypes all kind of like 3D printed out, but whoever printed them set the scale wrong, and they printed out larger than life. And when the guys saw it, they looked at it and they said, "This is just a thing of beauty.
Just keep it at this.
Let's do this." And like when they brought them over for the first time and laid them out in the cage for us, and I saw them, I went, "Oh, wow, that's an impressive sight to behold." Right. The last ones are the Nords. Woody, check these ones out, Ben.
They are very cool.
Love these guys.
Another thing to note, by the way, as well, is that we do actually have quite a few like Let's Plays and stuff in the for this. So if you want to go and check out how the game plays and things right now, then you can do so. They're new. I've not seen them before. They're very cool.
They are cool.
Huscarls for the win.
Here's Jerry with no hair.
These are your kind of
less hair or more.
Scots Viking kind of dudes. You know, it's there's a Jarl. Oh, just look at that. Oh, come on.
Stalkers are different.
Yeah, they're kind of like the werekin kind of thing going on, which is really awesome. Yeah.
Check those guys out. Oh, barbarian.
Oh, the Jotnar.
The giant, the Jotnar. Oh, just that model is incredible.
So even these dudes, wink, wink, keep on the round base.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, just because wink to blind bat.
Check out them.
Right, cool.
Aren't they just awesome?
Anyway,
nice. So dudes, we are embarking on the virtual Slow Grow League of Awesomeness. And as I've said, you know, we will be staying in very close contact with everybody that participates, because we want to get as much feedback as we go along as possible, because who knows how long we will be gaming mostly on our own. So this is a way that we're going to stay connected as a community. We also have the guys have worked on putting the game together in, I believe it's Tabletop Simulator or one of them. So we're going to have they have some top players already. So we're going to organize matches for you guys at home with some of their top players as we build up and learn how the game plays out. So we are going to get some gaming across the sea with one another, and that should be really good. And so it's going to take place across on tabletop.com, and there might be a little bit of Discord and stuff in there as well. But it's it's an opportunity for us to get together and push forward and enjoy a project together.
Also, little plug, you can buy all of your Conquest stuff on store.ontabletop.com. So maybe go over there.
Swing.
There'll be a link in the description below. So there you go.
Love this guy. Buy merch. Right. Okay, dudes.
It's time for Indie of the Week. Who picked it?
I picked it this week. So the end of the week this time around goes to Stonehaven Miniatures.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. Nobody tells me nothing. So Stonehaven Miniatures are an American company. The sculptor behind it is one Michael Evans, who used to be a painter for Blue Table Painting before he decided to go all in on the sculpting game and create characters for his games.
Holy smokes!
Yep,
This guy can sculpt.
He definitely can. He started off, quite fittingly, and I very much enjoyed it, on dwarves. But over the years, he has been expanding it and developing things and adding to the range via the likes of Kickstarter and the like, and sort of just bringing additional characters into the collection. A lot of the main focus about what he does is building characters for role-playing games. Mm-hmm. So you will be able to look through a catalogue of miniatures, and there'll be both male and female versions for a lot of these different characters, and they are like ripe for inspiring new adventurers in role-playing games. Like you'll look at these and you'll go, that'd be an awesome new bard, that'd be a really cool new fighter, etc., etc., etc. Another thing I really like about
can sculpt.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really like about the sculpting that he does in particular is the slightly exaggerated, heroic, sort of almost comic take on a lot of the different characters. Yeah. So they feel like they're all from a sort of like a cartoon world, which I think is really awesome.
Like this guy,
yeah. But for example, you could approach these with more realistic paint schemes, and they'd still also work alongside other miniatures from different ranges as well. The dwarves is definitely one of the most fleshed out ranges, as it were, I suppose you'd say.
Foxy.
Definitely very foxy. Where they've managed to bring... I love that guy, by the way. The dwarf, the undead dwarf. He's so cool. He reminds me very much of Dwarf King's Hold when you had to get rid of... and the Dungeon Saga as well.
Yeah. And that's exactly the kind of undead that Lloyd likes. Undead that actually look like what they were wearing when they were alive, but shittier. Yeah.
But yeah, the dwarves are definitely the most fleshed out of the ranges, simply because that was where it started off. And effectively, it seems like he's gone through and decided, well, this is a class that doesn't have a model yet. I'll make that model. So things like the rogue there, for example. There's also like a dwarf monk further down in the collection as well, which you'll see just on the right-hand side of the screen there. So if you want to play a martial monk who's all about sort of... Say, for example, you've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, and you like the Earthbenders.
He kicked you in the face with those.
Exactly, yeah.
Gee whiz.
Yeah, but it's seriously gone through and created such a really nice collection of miniatures that have lots of character built into their sculpts, which is awesome.
There's 4 pages of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of dwarves. But as well as dwarves, he also does a bunch of other stuff. So we have a whole list of things to go through. I think the next one is gnomes. Gnomes, there we go, yeah. So if you like your gnomes to be much more of the kind of like fey variety, rather than kind of like your typical garden gnome, then these are definitely for you. So they've got the big ears, the big noses. They're very, very tiny and wee. Proper little fey folk that you know are very mischievous, and they live on the sort of fringes of society and things, which are very cool. One of the other things I really like...
There's definitely some garden gnomes coming up, though, Ben.
Yes, there are some, yes. Yeah. But the thing that I really liked about these in particular as well is a lot of them are all just one-piece metals. So you just break them out of the pack, stick them in the base, and they're ready to go.
It's sort of... I'm getting a Breath of the Wild sort of feel off this.
Yeah, you could get like a little bit of a Zelda thing going on. Yeah. So,
I love it.
It also leads me into something that I really like about miniatures done in this style is that they're very defined because they're metal and they're very finely detailed and they're all that one piece. It's all very much like, this is definitely his coat, this is definitely his trousers, his weapon, his armor, etc. So when you paint them, they paint like quickly. It's like paint by numbers, basically. And I really like that because it means you could get one and have it so quickly ready for the tabletop, which is awesome. So
Here we go.
there you go, Gnome Gardener.
Gnome Gardener. Oh my! Oh, fantastic!
That is Jerry.
It's a good
Well,
look
if it was Jerry,
yeah.
it would have to have it. It would be on a hill.
Oh yes, yeah.
Skip the Gnome Ninja though.
Did we skip
Yeah.
a Gnome Ninja?
There's a Gnome Ninja.
Yeah.
Is there? We'll come back to him now in a sec.
Love it.
Where's this guy?
He's a little gnome scholar, so he's a little tiny wee gnome.
Sitting cross-legged, writing down all the adventures
Yeah.
and who
Where's
owes him
this?
what.
Gnome Ninja.
Scroll up, there you go.
There it
Assassin.
is, the Gnome
Gnome
Assassin.
assassin, yeah.
If you don't paint him up like Storm Shadow
Mhm.
from
You
G.I.
need
Joe
to
Army.
start kicking the gnomes.
Yeah.
How many pages?
Okay,
are
what's
there?
next?
3 pages of that.
Three pages of that, yeah.
Lord, this guy is prolific.
Yeah, and he's
When did
only...
he start last week?
So I believe it actually all started off in 2012, so quite a long while ago.
Uh-huh.
But he only recently finished a Kickstarter for the next wave of stuff, which is very cool.
Yeah.
So that'll be arriving soon.
I
The
can't
elves
wait.
are
Volume of
the elves are really cool. Again, done with very much of a kind of like this is a fey take on elves.
this.
So
Mhm.
they're very thin and spindly, and almost they look kind of cruel looking, but in sort of like an alien quality to them, which I think is really
Yeah.
nice.
That's
Because
elves
you-
for you.
That is exactly how elves should be. Yeah. So
They
This
are
one-
cruel.
That
Yeah.
one.
that's one of my favorites. I love that guy. It's kind of like almost like a fallen elf warrior of some kind. You could also use that maybe as like an Azamar in D&D as well. That'd be really cool too. But yeah, a nice little project. It could even be something like you could turn that into a statue or something
What is
as well.
that? Is that a load of scythes falling out of his
It's
sack?
a load of scythes coming out of his like cloak. It's like a wing of scythes, a scythe wing. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Don't see those often.
He's
Elf bard.
exceptionally creative, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bards,
And
they're always filth.
Do you know what I like about this? Every one of these is being presented in a reasonably sized picture, and and I like the fact that he's gone and done this shading because
Done a wash on it, yeah.
it's really hard to see
brings out all the details.
metal miniature details when you're just presented a picture of the metal.
Yeah. It's got
So
Cloud's sword there. Yeah.
There is quite a lot of painted on this side because I was on it earlier having a wee hunt around, and when it's not painted, it's all presented like this, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Look at this dude.
But the range as a whole is very, very prolific and has a whole bunch of different things in it. Like maybe we skip forward just a little bit because they have just all sorts of different things. But if you go to giants and stuff, Lloyd,
Giants?
they do giants and trolls and things.
In pints?
So one of the
folks.
Yeah. So one of the things that they sort of did fairly recently, I guess, in terms of it's the lifespan of the company, is doing these slightly larger things like trolls and golems and giants and that kind of thing. A lot of them tied into nature and sort of like that kind of elemental thing, but then also designing some that are a little bit more sort of clockworky. There's some that are like warforged as well, which is really cool. So if you like things like Eberron and stuff, you've got big sort of golems with blades and clanking bits and stuff, which is really cool. And this is the kind of stuff that I think would be a really good pick for people that are maybe diving into not just role-playing games, but a lot of skirmish games right now, because there are a lot of like fantasy-style skirmish games out there on the market. You've obviously got 70V Fantasy coming up very soon, which is very much a game that enjoys you having a vast collection of different things. And so finding companies like Stonehaven, for example, are a very good option for that, because you can throw something a little bit quirky and weird in there for that next episode of your adventure that you're going to be playing through as well, which is really good.
I take it these larger ones are resin then.
Yes, so
The
all
smaller
the
minis are
giants are in
metal.
resin, and then it's pewter metal for the others. Yeah, so
There was one there, Lloyd, that I saw called the Troll Captain.
Troll Captain.
Yeah, the
Let's see where he
Troll
is.
Captain.
there he is, right hand side.
Yeah.
Down. There we
There we
go.
go.
Yeah, there he is. He's very awesome. Yeah.
Oh my word! Look at that.
And these are the kind of it's almost going for a little bit more of that kind of Nordic style of trolls and things, rather than the kind of idea of them that you normally see from sort of more sort of Western European fantasy and that kind of thing. So you've got the big ears, and then they're all just sort of like gibbering monsters. they actually seem to have like a little bit of martial power to them and a little bit of sense and that kind of thing, which I think is always awesome to see in your monsters. So they're a little bit of a different thing. But yeah.
Can we have a look at the terrain?
One sec. Check out the half orcs there.
Yeah, the half orcs are very cool. A lot of the terrain, by the way, which we'll see in a little bit, is a lot of sort of like bits and pieces at the moment. It's not actual full bits and stuff.
I love me some half orcs.
Look at that.
This guy here, look
He
at that.
thinks he's people with his people clothes.
He does.
Yeah.
People.
He's not.
I was going to play a half-orc rogue in one of my campaigns, and I was really looking at that half-orc ranger as one of the characters that I can go for, actually, for him.
I would do the half-orc cloaked if you're going to play a rogue.
Yeah.
That way, civilized people won't realize you're a half-orc. Just keep the cowl down. Like
Did you say terrain? What was it?
I think a lot of it's just sort of basing materials, although they do a kit, which is kind of like a build your own walls section. So they give you all the tiny little bits and pieces you need to build your own, like, buildings, which I think is really neat. So so they give you all the little
Lego
bricks
for wargamers.
Yep, Lego for wargamers. Yeah,
love it.
But yeah, as I say, you can either buy all of the miniatures individually, as we've been seeing as we've been looking through the shop, or you can go and pick up specific sets like these. So they're all very much focused around one particular idea. So it might be these are all the martial dwarves, or these are all the dwarf NPCs, and that kind of thing.
There's one there for you, Warren. Knob Street Securities.
Knob Street Securities? Where's that? Oh, up and across. Across one more. There we go.
Oh, it's got the Ninja Dome in it again.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of long rifle people see. Makes perfect sense. All about the Knob Street.
What I noticed about most of these factions, though, as I was clicking through them, is they all have like a wizard or a mage or something like that. Like here we go, half-orc necromancer. So it's a good set probably to pick out some more bands for like Frostgrave out of as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Work for that.
Yeah.
Half-orc caster in Frostgrave. That'd be amazing. I'd love that. Yeah.
And it's like one of the big things that Rangers of Shadow Deep has always sort of said is that while they have a background to it, there's nothing to say that there aren't fantasy races involved of it that are, typical to the setting, so dwarves and elves and things. So if you wanted to do an entirely half-orc, band of rangers going off into the Shadow Deep, you could definitely do that. So
they do have humans, but I don't think
they do have some humans.
As rounded out as the other factions.
Yeah, but nobody cares about humans.
No, we don't want to see humans. We don't care.
They're 10 a penny.
Oh, well, this guy is cool. You see this?
He's very cool.
Oh, that is very cool.
If you kick into
them weird kill you shoes.
There you go. See? Wizard.
Oh, that's a wizard. I want him for my hero quest.
Every faction in here has some sort of magical caster, which is great.
Gandalf the off-white. So
Gandalf the beige.
Gandalf the beige. Right, Ben, thank you for that. Guys, go and check out stonehavenmini.com. Good grief. That is an indie of the week and a half. Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
So back for some news. The first little bit of news we're talking about today comes from the guys at Games Workshop, and that is that they had another preview over last weekend where they looked at a whole bunch of new stuff for not just their core games, but a lot of their quote-unquote specialist games as well. For the Mortal Realms and Age of Sigmar, there is quite a lot of stuff. So leading the way was a new box for Warcry. So this is a new set, which is called Catacombs, and it's going to introduce 2 new warbands into the game. So you'll be able to play as the Cainite Shadow Stalkers, if you like a little bit of elf action in your games, and also the Scions of the Flame, who are warriors of chaos who believe in fire and like being on fire, which is their main brand. The other cool thing that comes in this set is a collection of new terrain and a new board, which is double-sided, for fighting battles and skirmishes within interior locations. So the one you can see there is the Catacomb itself, which is, as you can see, branded with fire and all over the place. So the Cainite Shadow Stalkers have clearly infiltrated that location to try and take them down. the other side of it
Is
Wait.
that like
Anybody
the
else
most
see
Hero
the-
Questy looking thing they've released in ages?
Those doors over on the top
It's like
corner.
advanced Hero
The
Quest.
top right, they look like
Warhammer
Warhammer Quest.
That is a Warhammer Quest door right there. Yeah.
Who knows what they might be doing on the Warhammer Quest front, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But
yeah.
yeah.
I personally dislike it.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I think the skull doors look a bit gash, if I'm being honest, compared to the starter set that they did do.
Yes,
with the three-dimensional terrain in it. It was incredible.
This is much more stylized, I think, rather than being
a bit weak. I'll be honest. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't do a lot.
Know. It looks punchy. I mean, if you whip that out,
punchy, yeah.
And you're 12 years old, you'd be looking at it going, "Yeah, let's get a bit of this."
Exactly.
I'm not sure about the metal bridges. Like, how hot would your feet be on metal bridges over lava?
It's the mortal realms where things live forever. I'm sure.
I'm not sure they. I'm not sure they care, man. Yeah. I'm not sure they care. But yeah, it's like it's a bit uninspired. I've got to say, as a set compared to what has come before. I just like to see things progress and be more than what has been before. Obviously, a lot of it will depend on the price point of this. It may just be a lower price point kind of a thing. I'm sure they've got it well worked out what they're trying to do with it. But
I would assume they're probably coming around the same cost as the original one, to be honest.
Do you think so?
So we can get close up.
Yeah. This is just a tease. This is just a teaser trailer.
Towards the end.
Yeah.
These are the ones from the box?
Yeah, so they're the Cainite Shadow Stalkers. So they're the elves that are very much like one with Shadow. So all their cloaks are shadows and that kind of thing that we've seen before in previews, way back before Corona. So, and then also you've got the Scions of the Flame, who are the guys who are on fire, obviously.
Help my wizards on fire.
And they're very much, as I say, the more chaosy faction in the game, which is cool. So.
Lovely,
yeah, I remember seeing this, like you say, months ago.
Yep. Yeah.
How the world has let us down, boys.
Before the event.
Yeah.
Stay indoors. As well as that, we got a new box set coming out for Warhammer Underworlds. There wasn't too much on this one in particular, but it is a new box set called Dire Chasm. Which steps on beyond Beastgrave, which was the last set of releases for Warhammer Underworlds. This will include 2 new warbands for the Lumineth Realm Lords and the Slaneshi Hedonites. So if you like those two styles, you can go for
are they in this video?
They may well be. I cannot remember. But this that's basically the teaser trailer for this one anyway. Again, this will come with a whole bunch of stuff that is very much focused on those particular characters.
Yeah.
But then it will also have lots of options for people who have been playing Warhammer Underworlds in the past and want to add new cards into their decks and that kind of thing as well.
I don't know. Looking at that, Lloyd, does that not bring back memories of some of them clubs me and you used to go to?
No. You know what? I'll play a bit. This is like some of those scenes in Spawn.
Yes.
We're all the hell spawn are going like this.
I'm pretty sure this is the start of a James Bond film.
Well, it does have Slaneshi Hedonites in it, so yeah.
I'm thinking Club Lube on the outskirts of Sofia in Bulgaria. So
that's 5 hours I want to forget.
So that's the new box set coming out for Warhammer Underworlds, although they are also be putting together another box called Arena Mortis, which is the other release that was announced. And this is a little bit of a tweak. It was previously available as rules in White Dwarf, but this new set basically allows you to take control of just one fighter versus a bunch of other people playing other single fighters in sort of like an arena deathmatch. So if you don't like the
Royal Rumble, Ben.
Yeah, a Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble.
With all the entrance music and everything as well. So
yeah.
So that's their kind of death match. The other big release was for the next step in the story for the Mortal Realms and Age of Sigmar, which is going to be set up using this new set called Shadow and Pain. This features the Daughters of Cain, obviously under Marathi, and also the Slaneshi Hedonites once again. You get 2 new models in the box. You get a Lord of Pain, I think he's called, and also a new leader for the Daughters of Cain as well. They're the 2 miniatures there. And this is all focused on the next step in the storyline. So they've done things like the Necroquake and that kind of thing. Now they're moving on to what's called the Broken Realms. And this is the chance for the Elves to try and assert their dominance across the mortal realms. So Teclis has obviously awoken his army of the Lumineth Realm Lords. You've got Alariel and you've got Morathi as well, as each of the kind of like head figures of each of the different elf factions.
Wow. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Yeah,
and they are leading their campaign to try and destroy the Chaos Gods. But the kind of twist in the tail, so to speak, is that they don't really care who gets in the way. So even though they are technically forces of order, they will easily kill every Stormcast Eternal that tries to stop them doing what they want to do in taking over the mortal realms. Hence the name, the Broken Realms.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I like that. Very cool.
Okie dokie.
Once again, I was going to say, once again, they do say this is going to be a monumental story-changing event in the Age of Sigmar saga. Whether or not that is the case,
you mean like the last one? Yes,
like the last one. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
the Necroquake was pretty changing in terms of the narrative and stuff, but yeah, we'll see.
Sure, it was. Yeah.
On the other side of things, in the grimdark future of Warhammer 40,000, and more specifically Necromunda, there are going to be some new options for people who want to play House Orlok. So a lot of people will know that different houses in Necromunda are getting their quote-unquote, I've said that again, codexes for their factions. So House Orlok are getting theirs, which is called the House of Iron. And this will include a whole bunch of new options for people playing House Orlok in terms of new rules for their miniatures, new scenarios, new equipment, and that kind of thing as well. So if you want to step things up a level and bring House Orlok up to the level of the Goliaths and Escher, you can do. You're getting three different types of miniatures within one box set. So the first of these are the Arms Masters, which you can see there. You've also got the Wreckers, who are effectively their kind of Juves now for House Orlok, who are kind of equipped with semi-experimental jetpacks for flying around in the Underhive, which doesn't seem like a good idea. And then you also have the Cyber Mastiffs as well. So dogs that have been bolted on with bionics and all kinds of things like that to go hunting down things in the Underhive. A lot of the stuff in the kit is kind of interchangeable with a lot of stuff that exists before for Necromunda. So if you want to do a little bit of a mix and match, maybe take the jetpacks off the back of the Wreckers and make them into proper Jews, like you would have seen back in the day, then you can do that as well, which is very
good. Good.
These dogs are scary.
I like those dogs. They're very cool.
You like dogs?
Somebody's been very hungry. I can only assume that every time they remove a limb, it's to eat.
Yeah, basically, probably. Yeah, they feed it to their local Goliath to see.
Okay,
they tend to like chemicals more than anything else. But yes, moving away from the grimdark future and the mortal realms, we're stepping into World War II. And this is
15 mil World War II by any chance?
It is 15 mil World War II. So this is a new set of pre-orders for Operation Bagration or Bagration, which was the
Bagratron.
Bagratron is the transformer. Yeah. So this is a new source book for Flames of War, which will take you into the kind of Soviet offensive, the strike back against the Germans towards the later periods of World War II.
My favorite bit of the cover is the fact that they've actually the dude sitting up against the logo.
It's all about the graphic design.
It's all about the design for our Lloydie.
So this will lead you in the fighting through Finland, Estonia, Poland, Ukraine, Romania, Hungary, and then leads up to the siege at Budapest as well. There's a lot more details on this in the article, which you can go and check out in the links below. But it also focuses around this seriously overmanned, heavily armored Soviet offensive, which includes obviously a lot of men and a lot of big tanks. Some of which might not work, some of which do. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. That's the Soviet way.
They'll mostly work.
They'll mostly work.
I've seen them on it's mostly filth tank lists.
The sort of core focus of this is around the heavy assault group starter army, which is the box. And then, because who doesn't want more tanks? You can buy a full T-34 tank battalion just in one box. Yeah. So if you just want more T-34s, you can do. Yeah.
21
T-34s. Flames of War is on fire.
It really is.
Wow.
You can tell it's Soviets. 21 tanks. Flipping out.
That's my, looking at that, but go back up to the box set, right? Does it say all plastic on it? Do we know if those?
I believe they are all plastic. Yeah.
We got to be sure
Well,
now.
we don't know.
We're not sure. We're not totally sure. But if it is all plastic, that is my only little pang of regret in the Team Yankee box. Now, I understand why the Team Yankee box is as it is. It makes absolute perfect sense. But heck, would I have loved to have had, some squads of Delta in there and some squads of Spetsnaz or, and special forces or something, or mechanized company, some plastic Team Yankee infantry. Oh, man, I would nearly swim to New Zealand to get that. So I would, avoiding all the great white sharks on the way, because they'd look at me and they would definitely see lunch.
So if I want to jump in and I want to be Soviets, get this book, get this box, and then get me some nice, lovely extra tanks, and off I
get
go.
yourself some new friends.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah, you can.
You'll need them if you're looking to play them. There's one other thing. I don't know if it's in the article there, but there is a command deck coming as well.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you can pre-order. So that's got various command cards that you can tack in to change up how your list plays.
Yeah. And just to be on the money, it is a full plastic set. So I've just checked it out on their website.
There's definitely no little minis in there that are still metal, like little commanders.
It says in brackets plastic at the end of the set, so I would assume that's the case.
Remember, folks, you can order this stuff now on tabletop.com. Well, store.ontabletop.com. I'm crap at advertising our own store, man. Store.ontabletop.com. There we go. As seen on TV.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, then. Let's keep going. What's next?
Following on from that, we're going to step back into the realm of fantasy. So Frostgrave, 2nd edition, or Frostgrave 2, has more or less just released into the world. So people are going back into the frozen city of Felstad and going on more adventures. But almost as soon as the core book was announced for release and all that kind of thing, they also said that there's a new expansion coming in December called The Red King.
Wow, that's quick.
Yeah, so this is a new semi-cooperative campaign set within the city of Frostgrave, obviously, which will see your warbands and wizards either teaming up or backstabbing each other to try and stop the demonic Red King from infiltrating the city and turning it into his own domain. So
I'll tell you what, Joe is prolific, isn't he?
Definitely is, yeah. He's writing everything.
We're going to look back 10 years from now on 2020 as either the pandemic that was the best thing ever to happen or the worst thing ever to happen. Because locking all these game designers into their own flipping houses, they must have bucket loads done. Bucket loads.
Joe has to spend a lot of time wrangling a dog.
Yeah. So it's oh man, I can't wait to see what once you got these guys all in isolation with nothing else to do but create amazing games. Yeah, it's going to be great
for the YouTube algorithm. And anybody who doesn't get Warren's accent, he's saying bucket.
All right, bucket loads.
So the new book, as I was saying, will focus on the Red King and his kind of like demonic infiltration of the city. The sort of main sort of like thrust behind it all is that if your wizards don't band together to try and stop him, then he will win and everyone will lose. But do you try and sneak away a few treasures here and there from the magical city before you eventually decide to band together to stop him, kind of thing. So that's where the semi-cooperative element comes into.
Can I make like creature bands in this, or is this all human bands as well?
A lot of the Frostgrave warbands are mostly humans, although there's nothing to say that you can't include fantasy races in it if you want to. There's even rules from 1st edition which allow you to make Gnoll warbands. So if you like those kind of hyena buddies, you can throw those into the mix as well. One of the cool things they have done for this, actually, and maybe we'll learn a little bit more about it in the months running up to December, is they're actually going to be releasing a plastic set which will allow you to make a set of demon warriors. So you know how they've done their plastic sets for gnolls and the undead and all that kind of thing, and cultists and all that stuff. They're doing one for demons as well.
These jobbies.
Yeah, so these are some of the early versions of them. So they're not exactly how they'll look when they originally come out. Sorry, eventually come out. Sorry, but yeah, it's going to be another set from them, which will be going down the same route of what they've done before, where you've got the plastic bodies and legs together, and then you'll be able to mix and match the heads and the weapons and the arms.
See, I have a problem with this, right?
What's your problem?
Only one of them is actually a demon, because my grandfather told me he met a demon. Your grandfathers probably did as well, Jerry. They always met them crossing a bridge, and so they would stand and talk to them for a while, and then they'd walk off, and then it was at that point they'd notice the cloven feet. They always have hoofs, so you've met a demon because he's got a hoof. They have feet, except for one.
No, two of them have hoofs.
Is there another one with a hoof?
This one's hoofy.
Yeah, that's a proper hoof.
Oh, that one's like half hoof, half toes.
It's more of a claw, really, isn't it?
And then the other jobbies have feet.
They're just
But then they're like demons. Like if you look at medieval demons, they could be chickens, they could be half sheep,
rabbits,
half lizard, all sorts of weird stuff.
Yes, but wait,
snails.
But that's
Snails.
all bollocks. So it is. That's all bollocks. I'm talking about real life existing demons, and real life existing demons have hoofs, and they can't change that bit of them because my granddad told me so. It's like that's how you know a demon. So anytime you ever meet an old boy on a bridge, take a sneaky look down there to see if he's got a hoof.
I don't know about this.
And if he's got a hoof, I don't know about
this. I've watched Dogman. They had doo-doo demons and all sorts.
but wait, that's all weird fantasy shite. I'm talking about real life demons, right? With the hoof.
You mean like the ones you see on Buffy the Vampire Slayer? That's all demons.
That's all weird, weird fantasy shite, man. I'm talking about real life, proper grandfather met demons on a bridge, always in the clock room.
Are these the ones
hit them right in the clock room? Yep, that's
in the clock room.
Are these the demons?
Ben, next time you're over, I'll take you to the clock room, right? And we'll go. Do you know what? I'll take you to the clock room. And I'll take you to a wee haunted old church outside Ballinderry, and we'll go and see if we can meet a demon on a bridge with a hoof.
Is that one that's been haunted by your ex-girlfriend? Ballinderry, I remember that.
that last haunts my dreams, man. Right, what's next?
So next up, we're moving back to historical. And this is the news that Foreground have teamed up with another sort of small indie designer and developer of games called Luxlu. And they are designing their 1/1850 ships for, as I'm reliably informed, for the Luxlu's game Admiral. So these are all, obviously, because Foreground's involved, designing MDF.
What? Foreground, you've created battleships in MDF.
Yep.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
They look awesome.
They really do, yeah. So according to their little bit of blurb about this, they've been designed for the game, but obviously you could use them in a whole bunch of other games as well, and that's kind of what Foreground want to do going forward. But what they've done is they've looked at actual diagrams of these ships and tried to recreate them as faithfully as you can in MDF, which is why you've actually got all the little gribbly bits and stuff on top of the ships, which I think is really cool. As you can see, they're starting off with a lot of the Royal Navy stuff at the moment, but they're going to be stepping up the game and adding in a whole bunch of other things later on down the line, building up the range so that it includes everything that you need in order to play Luxlu's game, which is Admiral, as we were saying before. I reckon these are going to be really awesome once they've actually got like a layer of paint on. Obviously, they look very good now, but once you add like a nice little layer of battleship grey over these, I think it'll tie the models together really nicely, and you'll have a really nice looking set of ships for use in your sea-bound games, as it were.
I wonder what the price difference will be like. With
I would assume they're going to be very cheap. So
it'd be interesting to see. I'm looking at them and I'm going, wow, I'm going to get Justin to build those. My big fat fingers, I'm just looking at all the wee tiny parts and I'm just wondering how many my carpet is going to eat.
Lost to the depths.
Beautiful stuff. What else have we got?
So next up, we've got some stuff from Blacksite Studios. So a lot of people will know them as being a creator of terrain, but they actually also do a new set of miniatures in 35mm as well. And their newest collection, so they've done 2 waves so far, are based on very well known sci-fi properties. The first and second set of these have a lot of really awesome characters in them for use in games that might be themed around the idea of, let's just say, Alien or Blade Runner, for example. So if you're playing something cyberpunk or a little bit sort of horrifying on the tabletop, and you've got some very cool options for these. As you can see, they have the crew there, but then they also have some characters in their sort of like spacesuits as well, which is very nice. They've also gone a little bit of a step further with their second wave of miniatures, which is the other picture in this article, where they actually showed off a bunch of NPCs and other characters that you can throw into your games as well. So if you want to send your characters up against evil corporation types and that kind of thing, they've got them in there too. Or if you want to battle against some androids as well, then they're there as well. Which is very, very awesome to see indeed. And then, of course, you've got more of those survival suits, some of them with weapons and stuff, which I think is really cool as well. There are a lot of really good role-playing games out there that might actually benefit from having these in them. Obviously, Jerry, I know you don't want to put miniatures in your role-playing games, but you could use these with Freya Legan's Alien, for example. or there is also another role-playing game coming out from Osprey very, very soon, which would be a very good fit for these kind of miniatures too. So yeah, really nice. All 35 mil. I think they're all resin.
A definitive answer on this. Are we calling them Free League or Freya Legan?
Well, Freya Legan is their Swedish name. Yeah. And Free League is how it translates. So yeah.
But what are we standardizing on? Because I've just spent the entire UK Games Expo weekend calling them Free League.
I like Freya Legan. It sounds fancier.
I call them Freya Legan. Yeah.
Freya Legan then. That's all right. That's it. It's decided, Ben. Good choice. Freya Legan.
It's their name. We'll use it. Yeah.
Let's do that. Right. I believe we have some Meg next. Yeah.
Yeah. So towards the beginning of this week, I think it actually might have been over the weekend. The guys at Plastic Soldier and obviously the team designers behind Mortem Glorium have talked about the first of their Battles of the Great Commanders books, and the first one is going to be based around the Age of Attila. And what they've said is this book is going to be a very, very good resource for anybody who wants to play out that period in a lot of detail. So they're going to be going into information on the history of that period. And one of the things they did stress is that they've actually looked at the latest research on that in order to make it as up-to-date as possible. It's going to include information and guides to all the notable leaders, the great armies, the campaigns they fought, and also a bunch of major battles to fight as well. The other things they've said is that they've tried to make it kind of sort of beginner-friendly in a way. So a lot of the campaigns and the battles are ready-made and good to go straight away. So all you need to do is bring the miniatures, sit down, and play through those, and you're off on one, which is very cool.
Awesome.
So yeah, some really cool stuff coming up from Mortem Glorium, and as I said, this is book one, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot more books in the future.
I'll be fascinated to see what way they go with it. Simply because when they say Age of Attila, but it's the playing within that time period, is it just going to be Attila himself? Because that's only like a 10 or 12 year window when he ruffle stomped the world. But there was a period before then, before he took power, where the Huns were expanding. Obviously there's the period after when they retreat. But yeah, there's a lot going on there, and it's not just, but it won't just be Roman centric, because they attempted to slap down the Persians first, and then the Sassanids kicked them back. At which point they went, well, we'll find somebody easier to beat up, like the Romans.
As I say, it does say in their sort of blurb for this, notable leaders, so plural. So I assume they're going to be looking at not just Attila, but also the people that he fought against and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll see Edius and the like pop out then.
Yeah. Very cool indeed.
Okay, we've one more. Time for one more. What is it?
So the last of these came with the announcement there's going to be another big D&D event towards the end of this year, which is going to be a big new celebration of Dungeons & Dragons in 2020, much like they've done in the past. But this all came off the back of the announcement of a new book, which is also coming out. So obviously we've got The Rime of the Frost Maiden, which is going to be the big new storyline for the game. But there's also this supplement book, which is called Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So this is going to be a new source book, a little bit like Xanathar's Guide to Everything, which we saw a couple of years ago now, which will have a whole bunch of new stuff in it for both players and for Dungeon Masters. So one of the big things they've done with this one is they've included the rules, which they've been talking about for the last couple of months, about making characters based on the different races without the sort of locked-in racial-specific traits that a lot of them have. So obviously, for example, if you're looking at things like Dragonborn, it's all based around kind of like wisdom, charisma, that kind of, strength and charisma. They're trying to create rules now which can be bolted on that will allow you to try and play with that mechanic and allow you to make different character choices with your races if you want to. They're also throwing in a whole bunch of extra stuff for the classes. So every class from Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition will now have a new subclass. There's also the reintroduction of the Artificer, which was in one of the Dungeons & Dragons magazines. They've also included rules for group patrons. So if you want to have someone who's kind of like the... who was the guy from the Avengers? Not the superheroes. The guy with the umbrella. What was his name?
John Steed.
Yeah. If you wanted one of him, a character like him to lead your group, then you can have that kind of character in the mix as well. Maybe you want to be led by a man. Yeah, like a money man, like a dragon or a Xanath.
Like a Bosley from Charlie's Angels.
Yes, that kind of thing, yeah.
Or Charlie, I suppose.
Yeah, Charlie. Yeah.
Like a old grey-haired dude from Knight Rider.
Yes. They're also going to be throwing
Dungeon
in...
Master from Dungeons & Dragons.
Yes,
like
that too, yes. They're also throwing in a whole bunch of new spells, new magical artifacts, the ability to have magical tattoos. Why not?
That's kind of cool.
And there's going to be expanded rules for including sidekicks in your game. So if you're playing just you and another person, maybe as a two-player thing, then which they talked about in one of their new starter sets, you can also throw in sidekicks. So you can have somebody who sort of fights alongside you. Maybe if you're missing someone from the group for the week, you can include a sidekick in to help things along and that kind of thing too. They've also got an entire section based on, basically for Dungeon Masters, on how to set puzzles in your dungeons. So one of the big problems for a lot of people when it comes to dungeons is how to make traps and puzzles interesting. We've got a big new set just for that, which is very cool.
You know what?
What's this?
When you started this segment and you said that this had a whole bunch of new rules, my blood started to run a wee bit cold because it's interesting. I had a great conversation over the weekend at the UK Games Expo with the legendary, is it Mark Poole from...
Mark Poole, Shop on the Borderlands.
Shop on the Borderlands. Go and check it out. If you've never seen it, you have to see Shop on the Borderlands. Do a search for it. It's incredible. It's just, it's like an Aladdin's cave of RPG materials, right?
Yeah.
But one of the points he put across, and it really resonated with me, is that 5th edition is maybe becoming a little bit too much game and not enough role play. So whenever you started this with the whole, it's a whole bunch of new rules, I thought we're continuing down this.
I should have said tools, I guess.
Yeah, tools is better than rules.
Yes.
Because I don't mind tools.
Yeah.
I think tools are great, especially that puzzle one. This is a book that has just went on to my must-buy list now because of that puzzly bit. But rules and the gaminess of it.
Yeah.
That before you can do anything, you're let me see if I can.
It's definitely one of the things they've tried to include with this, and I think, as you say, rules is probably a wrong thing to say. Tools is the better sort of word for this, because one of the things they specifically want to do, tied into that kind of racial traits element, is to try and allow you to be more creative. So don't feel that because you're playing the dwarf, you have to play the fighter or the cleric or something like that. And nothing stopped people before, but this is kind of giving a lot more allowance for people to just sort of step out of their comfort zone.
Dwarf bard, you were always destined.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So the other picture that you were talking about there, Lloyd, is the alternative cover. So as with a lot of the stuff from...
like that one.
You can either get that one, which will match your collection, or you can get that one, which...
like that one.
Yeah. Weirdly, I prefer the other. I prefer the alternate color.
Yep. No.
Also, an interesting point as well, this book named Tasha's Cauldron of Everything for a very specific reason. They've taken Tasha, a bit like they've done things with Mordenkainen in the past and Volo, and they've made a book which is focused on that character and sort of reinventing her for 5th edition and building on her sort of lore and background from the early days of Greyhawk and sort of playing with a little bit and changing things up. So if you like that kind of aspect of the lore and things, then you've got that too, which is very cool.
Awesome. That wraps up our news. Right. Kickstarter time, Ben. 2 Kickstarters, I grant you. Not 3 and not 4, but 2.
Can I wish for more Kickstarters? No.
You could, but you lose them all.
Okay.
So what are our 2 Kickstarters this week?
So we're doing a little bit of a catch-up this week because obviously we missed last week's Weekender.
Yeah.
The first of these is from, pardon me, the guys at Mantic Games and Red Scar Publishing, and that is Hellboy, the role-playing game, which has 10 days left on its campaign so far. This is a role-playing game set in the Hellboy universe using the 5th edition rules as its backdrop. But I hear you say, I hear the moans in the distance. They have changed quite a lot of different things in this in terms of the way that characters are made in order to allow you to create very interesting and diverse individuals. One of the cool things about this is the way...
Let's back up a bit here.
Yes?
What's the problem with just setting it in 5th edition? There's like a billion people out there that know the basics of 5th edition. So
exactly,
why not?
There is no reason to not have a game based on 5th edition, but a lot of people moan that it's not its own unique rule set. But there you go.
But hang on a second here. We're getting right back to this role play versus game thing. Like a role play is effectively a role play. So the only bit that you're switching out is some of the mechanics. It's the gaminess of it, right? Yeah. And to be honest, that's the least important part.
Well,
am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. No,
it's a bit like
the rules is the least important part. It's all about the feel, the vibe, the environment,
and the story. Like if I hand you a book and say you have to learn a new language just to read that book, when you could have just read the book.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about this. This is what I really like about what Mantic and Red Sky have done here, is they've taken something and been like, this is the most inviting way that we can introduce the Hellboy universe to another group of people. And as I was saying, they have done a load of stuff in there to allow you to customize and tweak the rules to make these different types of characters. So you can play things like Remarkable Humans, Psychics, Ghost, The Cursed, and also things like the Fae as well. So if you are someone who loves the Hellboy comics, maybe you like the movies as well, this is a really good opportunity for you to play a character within that world. This then sort of evolves even more with the customization options they've put in for all the kinds of different powers and abilities you can use in the game. A lot of it is focused around the idea of cooperation and working together as BPRD agents. And so that's where they've sort of like pulled a lot of their sort of action focus into. But there's also a really cool mechanic in there called Doom. And you'll see this in the Let's Play that we did of this, which went out last week, which I'll have links down to in the show notes. It was a lot of fun.
Scroll down, but did they embed it? Is it in there?
It is in there,
It's in there. The Kickstarter page, you can see us playing it. I had a blast.
So the Doom resource is a resource for the storyteller. And so every time you roll a d20 to do something, you roll the Doom dice as well. And if you roll a 1, it generates Doom that they can then spend to do certain things on you. There's the infographic of it right there, actually. So they can use it to mess around with damage. They can make it so something weird and creepy happens in the background. It's a really, really good storytelling tool and something that I think is really good for people who are maybe new to role-playing as well, because it really helps them in that sort of endeavor.
Do you know what? I think it's 80-20 rule. I think it's 80-20 rule. There will be people out there, connoisseurs. Jerry.
Hey, look, we're famous. Yay.
Jerry will have preferences in RPGs because Jerry, let's be honest, is an expert at RPGs. He has a vast knowledge spread over a large volume of RPGs. And being an expert in it, he'll be very entitled to having his favorites in terms of, flow of game or whatever else. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, for 80% of us out there, we ain't going to notice the difference.
Exactly.
We not really. Not really.
Yeah. As long as the rules work for the game you're trying to play.
Yeah.
Like the 5th edition / old D20 OSR rule set was bandied around so much. So many people know it. And for the vast majority of games, it's spot on. But then every now and again, they'll do something like Cthulhu D20. Doesn't work. Yeah. Star Wars D20. But for something like Hellboy, where you've got that comic action feel, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. I think just adding in the Doom / I can't remember. There is a positive version of Doom as well.
Yeah, which feeds into what you can spend on your abilities. That's the other thing. Because you generate the resource to help you activate certain things, like maybe you want to do something where you can fire twice with your gun, or you can, give covering fire to somebody and like make a monster, duck down and that kind of thing too, which is very cool.
It's a great game. well, look, we played it.
We had fun with it. It was really
I
good.
had a blast. I really did, and it felt like Hellboy. And we didn't even need Hellboy in it for it to feel
that's the other thing.
like Hellboy.
They're busting through stretch goals at the moment, where they've come up with a lot of digital stretch goals.
Yeah, it's a bunch of new case files. And
it's not just case files, which are scenarios for you to run, but things like an NPC generator. And this is one of the ones where a lot of people, it can be a slog if you're running a game for the first time, where you can literally sit down and go, I'd like to randomly generate a non-player character for my people to interact with. Because sure as eggs are eggs, your group will go into a venue somewhere and go, I want to go and speak to the barman. And you want, and then they want to punch him out. And you're going, I've not generated any. I don't know how tough he is.
I want to know the names of everyone in this bar.
Yeah, that type of thing. So these little digital things where they've gone, we can create digital NPCs or the digital case file where you can essentially just go randomly generate me a scenario for this group for tonight. And it takes them an awful lot of the heavy lifting out. I think the last thing they unlocked was gift voucher for Dark Horse. So you can get like $10 worth of one of the digital comics. Cool. And I was scrolling through to have a nosy, and there's a whole rake of BPRD comics which don't feature Hellboy. It's the other investigators.
Oh, awesome.
Some named ones, some not. And I think anybody who's looking at this RPG and going, just Hellboy, and you're going, no, there are so many others that are probably more interesting than Hellboy, because Hellboy's a little bit punchy and a bit dumb.
Smash face.
Smash face. He doesn't always. Sometimes he manages to put two and two together. But yeah, so there's a lot going on with it. It seems
not the way I play Hellboy in the board game.
Oh no, well, yeah. I'm very sorry.
Anyway,
I was just going to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for those people that are interested in actually backing this, obviously you're saying there 10 days left. You can pick up the sort of core set as it is, either digitally. You can either get them the book physically, and there's a whole bunch of other options. So they've got things in there like miniature packs from the board game, so you can throw those onto the tabletop if you want.
Because I've got the board game. I went for send me everything except the board game stuff.
And you can also right now download the quick start that we played through.
Yeah.
Obviously, we played a slightly modified version because of time, but you can play through the quick start in full with all the characters and that kind of thing for free, and have a little bit of a play around before you back the game if you want as well.
There you go.
So, yeah.
All right, guys. Hellboy, the role-playing game over on Kickstarter. Right. Next up, I've just seen it on the running order. I know a thing or two about this one.
Yes, you do.
Dungeons and Lasers #2.
Yeah.
If you head over, I have a vlog where I built a dungeon in a day, all on my own sum, start to finish, including paint job. But I'll pass over to Ben.
Yeah.
Hold on. This is it.
This is the actual vlog. Yeah, which used a lot of the Dungeons and Lasers 2 terrain. So, yeah.
That wee picture there, you built all that in a day.
Yeah. Press play. Press play. And I'll take 45 minutes to tell you all about it. So this is me. This is Warzone. All right. If you go back a bit, you'll actually see the whole dungeon. Okay.
Before Ron tore it apart.
Keep going. Yeah. Keep going. It'll start out.
All right. Let's just let Warren do his thing then.
Yeah. So
because we're not going to get copy strike for our own video.
No. There.
Never know your luck.
All of that. Start to finish in one day. Wow. Not even 24 hours, a day. I kicked off at about 6 a.m. And yes, to be fair, I finished at about 11:30 at night. But I had cups of tea and stuff like that and did bits and pieces in between while I was waiting for some stuff to dry. But all of that painted using cheats and little shortcuts and things like that I've learned over the years. Because I just wanted to see, could I get a dungeon set together in a day, and I care. I didn't just slapdash it, because this wee dungeon set I'm actually putting into a presentation box, a presentation chest for my little girl, as her first modular dungeon, and I did it in a way that was kind of alien to me. Normally, I build dungeons kind of like a room at a time, and then you just place rooms. But I thought in this instance, no, I'm going to do it as they developed it, so it is actually in all of its individual core components. So it's as modular as you get.
What, these walls and things are all just plugged in.
Everything is separate. Everything just plugs in, and all the doors, all the walls. The key feature, well, one of the key features. If you go to the Kickstarter, I'll show you what I think is sexy as hell about this particular Kickstarter. So, if you scroll down, we'll start to go through it. So, I have a bunch of stretch goals unlocked.
Already, yeah.
They have dragons, okay? I know a lot of people are excited by the dragons. I like them too, but I'm a dungeoneer at heart. So it's the dungeon that gives me the hobby boner here, not the dragons, okay? But what they've introduced this time, if you keep going, is, do you see these 25 mil walls up? So in the previous one, in Dungeons and Lasers 1, which is beautiful stuff as well. I'm doing my dungeon display cabinet based on that. I've decided to build like a huge dungeon diorama to display all my RPG minis.
Yep. If you're interested in that, there's vlogs. You can find
we have vlogs
YouTube
for that too.
and on
Yeah,
the
I'm
website.
vlogging that whole process. But it's all 50 mil walls, okay? Which whenever you're playing a dungeon, the 50 mil walls, if you have them on either side of the corridor, can become a little bit footery to try and move your minis around.
For play purposes, yeah.
Yeah, so they introduced these 25 mil walls, and they're gorgeous. They are spot on. So what I tend to do is I tend to do a 50 mil back wall and a 25 mil front wall, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. It's really good stuff. I've really enjoyed playing with that. Really enjoyed playing with that. If you keep scrolling down, let me show you the next thing I love about it. They've introduced this little clip here for building multiple stories. Okay, so this little clip allows you then to stack your dungeon and build it up a bit. I think that's kind of neat. And they've introduced these functional doors. I never thought about functional doors, but
doors that open.
Doors that open. That's a nice little touch. I'm looking forward to
the lock
seeing
functional as well?
Who knows? Now, where it gets very, very good is the themes, right? So that fantasy core set is the one that already exists, right? So you can get that now pretty much. If you keep going down, that's why it's got that rapid delivery thing. It also is for sci-fi. I will admit I don't have as much experience of the sci-fi stuff because I've been focusing in on the fantasy side. But look at this. Cursed Cathedral Jerry. So this is the new cathedral-y kind of stuff from this Kickstarter.
That looks well.
Oh, I like
that. You could drop that into 40k as easily as you could drop it into fantasy.
You absolutely could. And look at the half walls available. Where they don't have stonework and stuff
they've kept the archway.
Yeah, isn't that really nice? That totally does it for me.
That's cute.
You then have the Temple of Operators. That's where I would say it's even more 40k. That's kind of grim dark there.
Yeah, that's decidedly more grim dark in that set, I think. Yeah.
But you could easily mix that with the one above, with the cathedral one. If 40k is your thing and you want to do something like that, you could easily do that. But that effectively opens up, the construction of space hulks or the interiors of Imperial ships. The Dwarven Mine is the one that I've been playing with, okay, because they have a small sample sprue of that. So in the vlog on the one-day dungeon build, you'll see me playing around with that particular sprue. And I'm going to take it a step further, but I'll talk to you more about that in maybe next week's show. And then you have the Vault, which is another sci-fi version.
Are these all being unlocked in this Kickstarter, or what's the?
Yeah, this Kickstarter's blown up, man, and rightly so.
Yeah, so this details each of the different themes, but then further on down the page, you'll find out how those packages actually go together. So you'll be able to pledge for certain themed boxes that will give you all the terrain you need.
So that's why that's rapid delivery. You back these ones, I believe they ship immediately. At the point of the Kickstarter closes, they ship, and then the new stuff ships later.
And do the existing ones work with the clip to go up floors?
is a direct
Oh, that one.
expansion of Dungeons.
That's
and Legion.
perfect for some of those figures we looked at earlier.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really good for those black site.
It's very alien-like.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's one of the key things I think to take away from the campaign in terms of what they're actually producing. There's obviously a lot of people will think of Dungeons and Lasers, and obviously it's in the title, but you're thinking fantasy when it comes to dungeons. There are plenty of sci-fi options within this collection for you to do different styles of fantasy exploration. A lot of people are playing things like Starfinder right now, which is obviously the Pathfinder sci-fi version, that kind of thing. And these would be great for this kind of game. So
that's cool because you could go from here at the start of your game into an environment more like this.
Yeah, the more exogenesis.
You can mix and match as much as you want with this kind of things too.
So good, isn't it? It really is. I got to say, I have really enjoyed playing with it with this stuff. It's I like this kind of thing, and with it being hard plastic, it's light. It's seriously robust.
Oh, dragons! Oh.
It's strong. Yeah, check out the dragons.
Plus dragons.
Now,
so
I have built one of these dragons, and it went together beautifully. But look at that.
They're all plastic as well, just like the terrain.
Dracolich.
So, yeah.
That's an awesome Dracolich. Yeah. There's my boy there, Durkar. I did him.
There's even a sci-fi version of a dragon in this as well, which is pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah, if you go down, there's a Xeno dragon, which is
that one out.
Yeah, that's my favorite. Freyr.
Yeah.
Freya. Yeah.
Stormbreaker. God, I want that one.
Marduk the Sun God.
Marduk.
What? Very cool.
Marduk the Tyrant, a failed experiment, a multi-headed dragon. Oh, I love that. And then there's what's that? Xenobacon. Oh, Xenodragon.
So that's the sci-fi dragon.
Oh, look at that. Oh, come on. Oh.
Are you wishing you had that one now, Warren?
Yeah. Oh, this is killing me.
And then the guest dragon comes from an artist who's working with them to create that individual piece as well, which is very cool. So yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Bit frisky.
That is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I think I'm next. There you go.
Hey, we're famous.
Build a dungeon in a day. You've got it. And I spend about the first 15 minutes or so just showing it off and giving you the basics of, okay, now here's the dungeon laser, here's how it works, here's what I like about it, right? But I didn't just stop there. I then went back into my wee workshop, and I spent another 40 minutes or 30 minutes or so talking. Shut up, Ben. Talking through how I did it in a day. So I have all my wee techniques for fast painting. There's no dry brushing or anything in that. All of that kind of shading effect. 2 cans of spray.
Is it this stuff we're talking about again? Yeah.
Yep. So like all of the gray wall shading and everything, that spray cans did that in minutes. So, yeah. I like that. It looks rather well. For something.
I think it turned out well.
Yeah. It's a bit old school, but I was kind of going for that effect, that kind of a little bit more Hero Questy. Jerry, I rocked out the rust effect as well, man.
I've noticed that there. Come down from the bars.
Mm-hmm. So the little pot of magic rust was rocked out too. And then I picked out some of my minis, and my Slayer's there is about to kick the arse of an elf.
Very Warhammer Quest.
I like the fact that it's big enough for you to get your larger
my fat hands in.
Well, I was going to say
32 mil bases.
32 mil bases, not your fingers.
All right, I thought you meant the fat.
I assume they are. They look like they're 25 mil square, so inch square bases.
Yeah.
They're designed to basically work with all the kind of D&D stuff that exists out there on the market nowadays. So,
look how pleased that chap is. Look at that.
I was that smug look is someone who's pleased with what he did. Remember, this is from the shittest hobbyist in the whole of the OnTableTop crew, right? I am the guy at the bottom of the rung, and I achieved this in one day. Did I tell you I did it in one day? Yeah. So I'm kind of pleased and proud of myself, because it's not easy doing something cool when you're the shittest at it.
I do like the portal.
Do you like the portal?
Have we got any lanterns and stuff to stick in these holes?
Yes. I didn't go down the lantern route just yet because I wanted to see how it was all how it would all go together. But my
Action shot.
my second phase of this would be almost certainly like, look, there's nothing wrong with that shading effect, is there?
No, looks good.
What did you do there? Did you just drop a bit of green contrast paint in there? Or what?
No, that's that new Tesseract glow. That's that
GW technical
paint, right? No, just to make you aware, I put Nakanai. Do you know the weird bluey one from the past? The technical paint.
Yeah.
Nakalai shade or whatever it was. I put that in there first, but then when I had done the green portal, I thought to myself, I'm just going to reduce the color palette. I don't want too many weird and wonderful colors all over it. I like to tighten up the color palette a little bit. So I put the green over the top of it and it just popped. And that's me showing you what a razor saw does.
Nice. You're making your own short walls? Or
yes, no, it's just showing because it's plastic. It's very easy to work with. You know, it's like...
That is how you use a razor saw, kids. You hold the object in your hands.
and just start slicing it through your hand.
And hope that you're going to miss your fingers.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wasn't exactly showing how a razor saw works, but I was just showing the principle of a razor saw would do this. So, there you go. Yeah, good kickstarted that. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing where they go. Once again, I've been doing it in all my videos on this because it winds the shit out of the engineers at Archon. Is curved walls, boys. start having a look at some of the other weird and wonderful things that you can do.
Oh, I could get curved walls. You could do caverns underground.
Yeah. Curved walls, boys.
Yeah. You don't even need to go that clever with it so far. 45-degree angles.
Yes. 45s
because that would be enough. They can start putting in some 45 ground pieces, and then it means you just start angling the walls around then, so you're not getting a massive curve, but you are getting sort of octagonal, hexagonal sort of turns, that sort of thing.
You see, I turn it off now because at this point I'm about to break my minis, taking the thing apart.
I would be tempted to combine that with the upholstery form technique that we pioneered at OnTabletop.
not that bloke in the 80s then.
Not that bloke in the 80s. I definitely pioneered it, despite what anybody says. You get the big upholstery foam block and then drop that into it, and you'll get look like it's in the caverns and stuff.
Really look like Dungeon Keeper or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah. The Lord of the Land approaches.
Right, guys, we are done. Thank you very much. Remember, for prizes, for last week's prize, go and check out the prize center over on OnTabletop.com. Massive thank you to Ben, Jerry, Lloyd, and most importantly, a big thank you to you guys. Now, if you're still with us, why don't you come across and join the Cult of Games, where tomorrow, or Sunday's XLBS, we are going to be talking about environmental effects in games. It's a good topic. You'll enjoy that one. Right. Have a great week of gaming. Does Warhammer 40K rock your world? Check out store.ontabletop.com today, where you can save up to 20% across a wide range of hobby games, tools, and paints, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Star Wars, Flames of War, Bolt Action, and many other incredible ranges. We are based here in Northern Ireland and rated 5 out of 5 on Trustpilot. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.